Mr. Sycip, it was an immense education that you've had. You went to the Ivy League, complemented with your role in the public schools. You had your accounting degree, and then you had a discipline and this arcane but fulfilling job in the cryptography department, intelligence. How much of that came together for you to set up the meritocracy and discipline that SGV was known for?
Well, at that time when you were starting a practice in a city that was destroyed, Manila's destruction was second only to Warsaw, the most damaged city in the Second World War. You know? So when I arrived in Manila, the intention was not necessary to set up an accounting firm. But when you see the destruction, I had job offers in America, mainly because during the war, many people could not retire. And there was a company called Women's Wear Daily. And the controller that was overdue for retirement. And that job was offered to you. But when you see the destruction here, or my father told me was this, son, you decide what you want to do, but there's a lot of work to do in the Philippines to rebuild this country. So I decided to stay. At that time it was even difficult to get office space. But fortunately, my brother, a lawyer, had a client that bought the Trade and Commerce building in Juan Luna. And so I got a little cubicle and started a one-man shop as a junior accountant, senior partner, and everything else.
And sir, you've come a long way from that little hole on the wall, so to speak, or that little space. You cast a long shadow over this organization now that you're retired. How did you build that, the decision to build a meritocracy, including not having your family in there and at the same time rewarding hard work regardless of background? How did you put those building blocks together?
Well, when you have a policy of meritocracy, you will attract the people. There are many, many bright people here, but they have to be attracted by something that's unusual. But at that time, it was unusual to have a firm that would say anyone can become a partner. You don't have to be a relative of the founder. You don't have to be a Caucasian. So I mean, when you have a policy of meritocracy and you apply it fairly, in other words, at that time we would work on Sundays, and everyone had the same lunch, whether you're a typist or a janitor.
Or the general partner,
yeah. So it was something that worked out well.
You've taken the decision at a comfortable stage in your life to go further and become an advisor to those who are willing to listen, whether they be from the private sector, public sector, or the NGO world. But you've actually taken the risk of giving them advice that, while correct in your view and in many people's view, is very controversial. Let's talk about one aspect. You talked about family planning in the Philippines. You've made a lot of enemies doing that, but what drove you to speak out on this issue?
Whether they pay me or not, fear that I have nothing to gain by not being sincere. No? I mean, I have no reason to lie to them or what. I may be wrong at times, but at my age, I had more time to think through problems than they have. No? But generally, you know, you have a track record. If you are continuously giving wrong advice, they'll kick you out of the board. When I started building a family, as as living in a Quonset hut. And its Quonset hut is not always very comfortable.
Yes. You have to have good insulation for a Quonset hut.
And a friend had contracted to sell a piece of land in New Manila for 20 pesos a square meter. Now, at the last minute, he changed his mind. So I still had to look for a place to stay. And I heard of Ayala developing Makati at 6 pesos a square meter at South Forbes. And I said, 6 pesos, at least will give me some leeway. So I came, and at that time in South Forbes, I guess I was one of the first. If I have younger children, should I send them abroad to study or not? Let's say 20 years ago, that would have been my thoughts. Right now, I think that it would be better for me to send the children to college in the Philippines and not abroad. Because I see that one of my grandsons, all his success in building a repair shop for automobiles was that the fact that there's a barcada, no? And all his classmates, and through all the years at, in this case he was at LaSalle, that they become his partners and his customers and so on. But you have developed long-lasting friendships and relationships. If you study abroad, all your classmates would not be able to help you out, and you don't have this long-term type of friendship. So if I were to make a choice now, I would probably send all my children undergraduate work here.
So that the ties, the guanxi of
Exactly.
the relationships are there.
Yeah. And that previously I didn't think of it that way. I send my children abroad mainly because when they're here, the domestics make their beds. I want them to know how to make their own beds. So I send them abroad to finish their high school. That's the only reason. But I'm not sure whether they got better education or not. But they did, of their own choice, get good education. But they don't have that group of friends that are always together. I am learning lessons from this education program. And then that gives me a better understanding of the bottom group of society. So that part is part of my post-retirement education.